Hello, my name is Doug Holder, and I'm here on my TV show. It's on Somerville Community Access TV, Poet to Poet, Writer to Writer. And today we have Lindy Bergin Conroe here, who's just come out with a mystery crime novel called Clearly Hidden. And welcome, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's read an introduction to Lindy. Is a graduate with a BA in English Literature from Bridgewater State in Massachusetts, an MA in English from the University of Rhode Island. She also holds an MSW in Social Work from Boston University. She's been a high school teacher, assistant professor of English, a licensed therapist. She has written 2 books for children, Rockefeller Jones and the Hidden Treasure, and Rockefeller Jones and the Journey Home. Welcome. This mystery is about a woman, just to give you a brief summary, about a woman, Penn, who's a writer, and she gets inadvertently involved with some notorious characters who are involved in drug trade, etc. And she finally, gets herself out of trouble with the help of a man named Finn. So I was going to ask you, let's see here for a minute. This is a mystery crime novel, but it also could be a novel about a woman becoming empowered amidst a lot of bad acting men. Can you comment on that?
Well, I wanted to write I wanted to write a mystery, but I just didn't want to do a straight kind of whodunit. I wanted it to be about people too, real people, and there's a lot of messiness in the book. Penn is divorced. It's wasn't a pleasant divorce. Yeah, I think she kind of evolved as I wrote the book. I had the basic idea for the book. I had the plot. I got, over time thinking about it, I got the characters. And then as I started to write it, I guess that's who Penn evolved into, kind of somebody who had been very much under a man's thumb and been disempowered in her marriage. And like a lot of divorced women who are on their own for the first time, they learn to, steer the ship. So it became that I wouldn't say it was a starting thought in my mind when I started writing, but as she evolved, elements of her realizing how little she had been in control of her life and how much she wanted to be now, kind of that became who she was. So inadvertently, it sort of became a subplot.
Okay. Well, there are always subtexts in good writing. And this place takes place on Cape Cod, and the ocean takes on a prominent role in Penn's mental state and for the story overall. It's a constant presence. You may comment on that.
Yeah, when I heard you say that one other time when we were speaking, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Isn't that interesting? I wrote that, and I think that wasn't purposeful, but my husband and I spend time in the summer in Falmouth, where the book is set, and unfortunately, it's not on the ocean, but where we stay. But yeah, I think the ocean is a constant there. I would agree, and that was I guess purposeful. A little bit of wishful thinking. That's where I would have liked to have lived, where Penn is now living in her new home that she bought an older home and had it rehabbed, and it's on the water. And but I think most of us find the water, being near the water, don't we, kind of peaceful, calming. And so most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that's kind of a thing where she's able to gather herself, on the back porch overlooking the water. Finn's house is near the water as well. And I think the water, on the Cape, the water's ever present. All the coastal towns on the Cape, it's there, and it is like a thing there. And so, yeah, I would agree. I think it's just a backdrop to her life, and a really calming, a calming place as things swirl out of control in her life and with her daughter's life. She has this place that she can sit and kind of enjoy it and feel her spirit kind of gather some strength from the ocean.
Good. Now, also, I've noticed that you take a lot of effort to describe the meals the characters eat. And we know a lot goes on. I never viewed food as trivial. It's very important. Meals are important. I'm wondering if you were influenced by the Nero Wolfe, the gourmand detective, or just you like to eat. And what is that about?
I guess I think I like to eat. I just kind of put myself in their shoes. I'm laughing because a friend of mine who did an early reading of the book said something like, "Oh, for God's sakes, they're eating all the time." And I actually took out many eating scenes because evidently I had written a very different book with a lot of food in it. But I guess a lot of the book is the section, not the book itself, because that jumps around, but in a chapter, it'll be chronological. And at certain times, it's time to eat. And so it seemed to me if people were going to do something, the natural thing would be they would have a meal at that time, or if they're having a serious conversation and it's hours over the dinner time, that in real life you would stop and get some kind of sustenance. So I guess that's why that one is kind of unconscious. I would say I didn't set out to put a lot of food in. It seemed to me that was part of the lives of the characters.
Well, it was all that I can do and not run out and get a bear claw and a latte or something.
The bear claw and early. That's funny you say that. You're right. There's a lot of bear claws. Finn's always having those. Yeah. And the other thing is I had them originally, they were eating too many lobster rolls. We'll just say that.
Okay. Never too many lobster rolls.
That's what I think.
Now, you are a longtime therapist, and I don't think you're practicing anymore, but
correct.
And your work probably influenced this book. Penn had a great relationship with her therapist Greta, who's an essential character in the book. Maybe you want to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. You're right there too, Doug. Yeah, Greta isn't fleshed. I didn't want there to be this huge therapy presence. So Greta's there. We don't know a lot about her. She certainly helps Penn through a great deal. So she is a character, but she's not a finely drawn character. But I guess it's based on, as you said, my practice and probably part of my own life, that when people make transitions, like after a divorce or after a loss, I really honestly believe that therapy can be the bridge that gets you to wherever you need to be. And that, sometimes walking that bridge by yourself is it's too hard. You don't have the skills to get over the bridge. And I, as a therapist, I really believe that. And so I guess I wove that in. Greta is how originally Penn Penn comes to grip with the fact that she's not losing her mind, but she's depressed, as so many people are. And I think a lot of people have that fear, when they can't think clearly, or they find themselves crying at odd times or whatever. I think there is a thought that goes through your mind, what's happening to my brain? What's the matter with me? And I think it's a great relief when people find out there's really not anything horrible wrong with you. You're depressed, maybe you're anxious as well. And those are things that can be fixed. And I think, you see, we just get a glimpse of what Penn was like before, but as you mentioned, she's fairly empowered for a lot of the book, and you get the sense that some of that came from Greta.
Now, what made you want, you've written children's book. What made you want to write in this genre? Do you like the sort of formulaic, genre that it is? Or, what is it that made you want to write in this genre of literature?
You mean the mystery genre?
Yeah.
Well, I just thought it would, I guess I wanted to write about the human condition and about life, but I think, well, for myself, when I read, I do like a plot-driven book, I have to say. Sometimes the language is enough, sometimes a beautiful book is enough, but when I'm just reading to relax, I kind of like a plot. And so I was interested in some of these other things as well, the subplots. But I felt like there needed to be something that would hold that together and would keep you reading, essentially the, whodunit part. But I felt if I could do it well enough, you'd care enough about the people to want to see how things turn out.
Okay, I wonder if you could read a passage from your book of your choice. A small passage.
Well, okay. I think there's the okay. So I would say that this is from the very beginning of the book, and that was the other thing. I thought I would be able to write the book and tell the tale, but I thought it might, if I did it in a kind of chronological way, that it might take a while for people to get into it. We've all read books where you got to read 20 pages before you start to get into it. So I wanted to start in it. I wanted to have someone be in it immediately. So this is right in the beginning of the book, where Penn is in her kitchen and she's alone in the house. It says, okay. Penn pushed away from the computer upstairs in her study. I'm sorry, she's upstairs and then she comes downstairs. And stared out the window at the roiling ocean. Writing the second book was much harder than she had imagined. Sometimes the words wouldn't come to her, and when they did, they were often the wrong ones. She glanced again out the window, surprised to get a glimpse of movement on the path from the rocky beach in back of her home. When she moved closer to the window, it was gone. Must have been mistaken, she thought. There was nothing down that way but the ocean. At the bottom of the stairs, she turned right toward the kitchen, intending to make a cup of tea and sit on the screen porch while she chewed on a glitch in the plot of the book. Mid-thought, she paused at the granite countertop, about to reach for the tea caddy at the far end. In the silence of that moment, she heard the squeak of boards on the back deck. On the other side of the summer drapes, a vague outline of something blocking the sun. Frozen, she stood still and listened. More squeaks, footsteps on decking. She became aware that she was alone. Galen and Aggie were at overnights at their friends' homes, and she had planned a quiet night of reading. The noise again. She remembered Finn saying, "He will come after you, make no mistake." Finn was the builder who helped her gut, then reconstruct the sanctuary she'd bought for herself and her girls. Because of his background with a father who ran a large cement business and who sat on the edge between honest and corrupt, legal and illegal, he knew what men were capable of when provoked. He also knew how to thwart ill intention. And then it goes into a section where she goes into a safe room that Finn has kind of insisted she put, and I'm looking, she gets into the safe room and she hears someone come up into her bedroom.
A lot of this suspense, of course, is being created off stage, which is very effective, right? You know, with the noises and the things like that.
Right. She ran down the hall and entered her bedroom, moving immediately toward the cedar closet. Opening its door, she ducked under the winter coats to the side of the cedar closet. Feeling her way in the dark, she found the right spot to push midway up the wall. The door silently sprung open to reveal an extension of the closet about 7 feet long and about 30 inches deep. Pulling the coats she had pushed back into place, she entered the hiding place. Then she gently tugged on the strap inside the door until she heard the soft click that indicated that the door was closed tightly. Now her head was pounding and she thought she might throw up. As she slid down the wall of the hiding place, she was shaking. "Bless Finn, bless Finn, bless Finn," she said silently to slow her breathing. Footsteps on the hardwood floor. Someone moving about. Footsteps in the bedroom. Penn scrunched her eyes shut, as children do when they are scared. Sure, if they cannot see the monsters cannot see them. A deep, gravelly voice said, "I know you're here because I saw you come into the house." Echoing words she heard in a game long ago, he added, come out, wherever you are." He sounded like he was enjoying himself. Penn had never been so scared in her life. Biting her lip, she tried to remember what Greta, her therapist, had taught her about relaxing. Take a breath in to a count of 7, then let it out to the same count. She took in a deep breath and held it, afraid if she didn't do something, she would panic. She could feel hysteria lurking right below the surface, and that scared the bejesus out of her.
Okay, well, thank you. Where can we purchase this book?
Well, it's at Amazon.com and it's at Barnes and Noble.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Poet to Poet, Writer to Writer.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was great.